I'm Dan Johnson. We're here at Sebring, and we're going around and we're looking at some subject light sport aircraft, and our mission is to show that these aircraft can be durable in a flight school environment. We're talking with Rob Rollison, the man behind the Aerotrek, which is available in two forms, with nose wheel gear and with tail wheel gear, and you can switch, and they have folding wings and a lot of other features. But our mission today is to talk about, do they last in a flight school environment? Rob, you were telling me about an aircraft right here in Florida at Punta Gorda, I think you said. Give me the numbers that you told us earlier.
Yeah, well, most of the aircraft sold in the U.S. so far have been to individual owners, but there's an increasing number of our airplanes going to flight schools. One of them went to a flight school in 2007, and it now has 1,526 hours, something like that, on it. The CFI that flies it was here, just the other day. It's done really well with it. It still looks like a, nearly new aircraft. Very few parts have ever been needed. None of our tricycle airplanes have ever needed a new landing gear, and there have been a few probably hard landings.
There has to be for a student.
Well, yeah.
Has to be allowed to make a mistake.
But
sometimes that's a hard
Our landing gear, and many of the landing gear on light sport planes are good, sturdy, advanced design. Ours is an advanced design composite main gear that'll take quite a bit of load, and also wide space landing gear, good stability for student landings. Our nose gear on our tricycle gear plane, has shock absorbers. They've done really well. Of course, our planes are a welded chromoly steel fuselage, which is inherently very strong, and so we've really done very well with our airplanes in the flight school environment.
Landing gear is solid and strong,
but
there are people that will say, well, fine, okay, you got some Brutus landing gear and you made that to hold up, but the rest of the airplane will sort of rattle itself to death. Well, that's not the case here.
No, I mean, I come to the business, well, I've been in the light sport business for about 20 years, but before then in general aviation planes, so I know all about, Cessna, Piper, Mooney, Beech, and, and heavier planes, and they're all good, and I love them all, but what surprising thing, you can build 650-pound planes, empty weight planes, that are still very, very strong, and they just do very, very well. Our planes have been built since 1990. Some of our planes are out there in Europe with 4,000 hours on them, still doing just fine.
And that's in a flight school environment, some of those?
Yeah, in Europe they're used extensively in flight schools.
Right.
It's been slow getting going in the U.S. for the SLSA. The U.S. economy hasn't been the best in the last number of years.
And we're new here. You've been in it longer like I have, and like Dave has.
Yeah.
It wasn't called light sport when we started.
No.
So we've had experience that goes back much longer than that, and we are believers. But we've seen some stuff on the web, on other people's broadcasts. It kind of they found somebody who said, well, I've got a lot of flight school, I've got a whole bunch of Cessna 150s. Those things are so durable, they'll hold up through anything. They need maintenance too, I know for a fact. But they say, yeah, and we got a couple light sports and we're just not sure we should use them in a training environment because we don't think they'll hold up. I think that's bunk, and your airplane here proves this, Rob. So 4,000 hours on some of the ones that are in Europe. This airplane's also
1,500 plus hours on one of the first ones that went to a flight school here, and all of our experience. I mean, these planes have been in production in Europe. It's from the Czech Republic for 23 years. And they've stood the test of time, and most SLSA planes do really well. And the details, I mean, the little things don't nickel and dime you to death. What you find is maintenance costs will be lower than like on a GA plane, than on an older GA plane. I've got a 66 Cessna 150 in the hangar just for my stepson to bang around with and build up hours on. He's already got his commercial pilot license, and it's fine. But the annuals and 100-hour inspections will each out of house and home on a 50-year-old plane.
You buy a new airplane,
there's almost nothing.
You don't have the same number of problems.
And the parts are so inexpensive on these planes, relatively speaking. I mean, it's not like on the regular certified planes and how expensive parts are. The only thing about that's so new in this country for SLSA planes for the flight school environment is the Rotax engine, and fairly quickly it's come along where they can appreciate what a fabulous engine it actually is.
Well, more and more people are getting trained to work on those engines.
And once you've got good training on these new, very durable, very good engines, the maintenance costs are very low.
So, speaking of maintenance,
fuel costs are the fuel costs will save you enough, even if maintenance was higher.
2 points we want to talk about, exactly those. Number one, operational cost. Number two, maintenance. Not the amount of maintenance, but the cost of that maintenance and who can do it. So let's talk briefly about operational costs, fuel burn, what a typical operation of your aircraft runs on an hourly basis.
Well, the fuel's easiest, so that the typical owner will burn about 3.7 gallons per hour with our planes, about 3.7 gallons per hour of auto fuel. And in the flight school environment, you'll generally run a little bit less because of pattern work. They'll run about 3.5 gallons per hour.
Is that right?
And that can and should be auto fuel. We know that's less expensive than avgas. In terms of oil changes, oil costs about $9 a quart, and they go 100 hours between oil changes. And an oil filter costs a little less than $20. They're a little expensive, but it's 100 hours. But but
low numbers, yeah.
You know, and you don't burn any oil, so it's not that. Tires are lower cost than tires on certified planes, a little bit lighter weight and lower cost, and you don't go through tires very often. Brake pads are cheaper. Basically, the only thing that's a little bit more expensive is it takes a little more time in the annual inspection to do a good comprehensive Rotax 912 annual inspection, like 4 hours for an expert comprehensive annual inspection of the engine itself, whereas probably for a Lycoming Intercontinental, there'd be a little less time because they're those simpler engines, but not better. You know, heavier. You know, there's nothing wrong with Lycoming Intercontinental.
Now,
but,
when you go hire somebody to do these things, you can use an A&P, of course.
Oh yeah.
And even that person needs to go have some Rotax training.
Yeah.
To be able to confidently repair a Rotax, or legally to.
Yeah.
But you don't have to have an A&P. You can have a light sport repairman,
right,
mechanic who's gone and taken a 1-month course.
Yeah.
And who is then knowledgeable about the engine, and he can take more training for the airframe.
Yeah.
And do some of that work as well. So a flight school can conduct a lot of their, maybe not all of the maintenance.
That's
some
right,
heavy maintenance might need some greater expertise, but they can do a lot.
Yeah, but in most cases it will be an A&P, and there's a good number of A&Ps around, and we've probably had about 350 annual inspections done on our planes since we began U.S. deliveries in March of 2006 under the new LSA SP rules, and they've gone very well. And A&Ps have taken to them basically like a duck to water. They've done really well. The airplane is easy. It's just the engine. The engine is neutral. The airplane is very conventional.
It's mostly different.
Yeah,
it's not harder. It's just different.
New
than
to
what
them.
they know.
But once they learn it, they can get pretty good with it. And there is plenty of Rotax training available in different stages. And even the most basic level of training will enable an A&P to easily do a really good annual inspection. And we, like probably most of the companies in this business, are available by the phone or email pretty much 24/7 and can answer any questions that A&Ps pop up with. We have a good comprehensive, and I'm sure about every manufacturer has a good comprehensive maintenance manual. And so it's pretty easy. And Rotax documentation, is excellent, of course.
Top drawer, right.
But we think it's worthwhile.
One of the things, how about the resale of these airplanes once they've been used for a couple
Well, let's take your example. If your man down there in Punta Gorda were to sell his now first of all, we've got to back up and say, this is not an expensive airplane. You're in we don't need to have exact numbers because
$85,000.
you're out on the video for a while.
Yeah,
So
but here
that can change.
In January
But they're modestly
2013,
priced.
$85,000 with radio,
And
modus
that's
transponder, and ready to go.
And that's a
loaded
nicely
up.
equipped airplane.
Oh yeah,
it's not a bare bone.
It's everything you can get, except the only options really are an attitude indicator like a Dynon EFIS, which is economical, or a GPS or iPad of any sort. And a BRS is an option.
And none of those things are going to add all that much to it, actually. So you've got a modestly priced aircraft to begin.
In this market, we do, yes.
And you've done well in the last few years. Your numbers have been very solid, Rob. So congratulations for that. But let's look at that one in Punta Gorda. If he were to say, you know what, I need a new one. I'm going to sell this one. What do you think he could get for it?
Well, it's 1,500 hours on it, and he does have the 2,000-hour TBO because he did the minor upgrade to raise his original 1,500-hour Rotax TBO to 2,000 hours. He's not planning. He has no intentions of selling his airplane. I first will say he has no intentions of selling his airplane and replacing it because it's got any hours. But as he heads kind of quickly towards the 2,000-hour TBO, he will take he's decided he'll take his engine off, sell it to someone who wants to use, and he went with the 80 horsepower engine back then for the flight school environment instead of the 100. And he can buy a new engine for $18,000. He thinks he can sell his engine for $8,000 or $9,000 because it'll probably go 4,000 hours without being overhauled, and it'll be legal to do that in the experimental category.
No problem at all.
Because these are very durable engines.
And somebody will love to buy it for that price.
So he'll spend $10,000 net and have a brand new engine. But now, let's say that if he wanted to sell the airplane today, most planes that go on and off the market are still under 1,000 hours. This has only been the LSA market's only been like 6 years going on now. Today, his plane would probably bring $50,000.
Okay, so there's a modest cost of an airplane.
What paid for that airplane 5 years ago?
$60,000.
So he's really only losing. He's not even losing because he used it to earn money with.
Well, that plane has paid for itself several times, and so he's money ahead if he rolls it off the bank into the creek.
He's already ahead. Right?
Yeah, he's ahead.
And now if he recaptures value by selling it, which he's not going to do, we understand, but if he did, he'd recover almost his original purchase price, and he's
Surprising.
earned money in the meantime.
Yeah.
This is a viable business model
Well, the
for
thing
an
is-
aircraft in a flight school
And
environment.
back to the whole point, even in intensive use, the planes, ours especially, I will say, but really most of them out here are very durable planes. And I'm talking from a background of a heavy GA guy. They hold up very well. They're sturdy planes. We've got higher G loadings and ultimate loadings than like a Cessna 150 will have. I mean, these are strong planes. We've never, in 23 years, never had a structural failure with
Yeah,
our
you've
planes.
got a great safety record with the
So
airplane.
they are sturdy planes.
Well, we've
and-
teased about the airplane a little bit here. We've mostly been focusing
Yeah.
on our mission to talk about durability, but
Yeah.
we want to also invite people to look at this as a new airplane to buy, and you can take as good a care as you want of it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you don't have to put it in a flight school. To get more information about the aircraft, where do we go find out? Company, aircraft,
Yeah,
what's the web
and
address?
our Aerotrek Aircraft, our website is www.aerotrek.aero. Aerotrek.aero.
Okay, we'll put it up on the screen for all the folks
Okay.
watching on their computer, on their TVs, wherever they see this. Our pleasure today to talk to Rob Rollison of Aerotrek. I'm Dan Johnson. My website's bydanjohnson.com or bydanjohnson.com. I've got coverage on Rob's airplane and many others.
Yep.
You can find all of that. We're going to continue our tour here at Sebring and prove the durability of light sport aircraft in a training environment.